Oh, yeah. What's up, guys? Welcome back. Welcome to Comedian Bible Study, okay? I'm your host, Sean Grant. I'm so excited that you're back, that you're here to hear some word, hear some funny people talk about the word. I'm the third most important person in the room. Let me introduce the second most important person, my man Channing.
What is up?
Yes.
How's everybody doing? Welcome.
Oh, dude, you have a face now.
And now I'm on camera for the first time.
Yes.
Hello.
This is a pivotal moment. You guys get to see what this beautiful voice looks like. So this is the second most important person in the room. But guys, let me bring the first most important person in the room. I'm so glad. God is so good to have brought me this person in my life and to the show. You've seen her on Don't Tell Comedy. Her set has been doing so many numbers. It's amazing to watch her set. She's been on The Late Show with Stephen Colbert. She had an amazing set there. She's also the author of The Holiday Breakdown and co-host of the Were You Raised by Wolves podcast, Leah Bonnema.
Oh my goodness! I'm blushing.
You're the best. I'm so excited that you're here, man.
Thank you for having me.
Of course.
I'm pumped.
Dude, I'm excited to have you. And I really, guys, if you see any of Leah's clips, you know she's stylish. She got, that's why I try to wear my best. This is my vacation button up, you know what I'm saying? But we're going to get into all that.
I'm in my gym clothes. I came straight from a Pilates class.
Yes.
Which is so LA of me, by the way.
And she's still fresh, man. She still manages to put it together. I'm serious, man. Like, you got style. Thank you for being Leah.
You.
But what we came to talk about is some theology, stuff like that, get God into the conversation. What is your stance theologically as of this moment in time?
So I grew up in a Congregational Christian Church, which is like New Testament-y, liberal, very based in like volunteering and sort of like speaking to like the idea that we would take care of our planet, we would love our neighbors, we would treat everybody fairly. And I went to Bible study camp every summer, and it was like on a lake, and we sang about the woods. Cool. You know what I mean? Yeah. It was like very. And then obviously as I got older, my extended relatives' families' churches were much more restrictive and sort of and a lot of rules and like a lot of anger. And so I definitely got angry at it for a while. And then sort of I think as you grow up you realize, that's not God. That's how people who are manipulating it and interpreting it to like feel like they're better than certain people, and you're actually have it completely backwards. And I'm not going to take it out of my life because you're using it in a hateful way.
Yeah. And so congregational, that's more like in a West Coast thing. You were raised.
I was raised on the East Coast.
On the East Coast.
It's probably everywhere.
It's everywhere. Okay.
I mean, here I go to a Methodist, like a liberal Methodist. I went to an Episcopalian church.
Oh,
where I grew up, I think it's always so funny who like is mad at my grandma, like thought the Catholics were devil's spawn, which is, I was like, aren't we under the same umbrella? And then I recently went to an Episcopalian church, which I think is like a Catholic light. And I was like, they got...
Is that what that is?
Yes.
Okay.
They have outfit changes. Like the guy... Yes. He like throws on a thing. He's got a thing that he goes like this. Like it's very theatrical. I was like, I didn't know you guys had all this over here.
Act 1 and Act 2.
Right. It's fantastic.
Do you remember those books, Ripley's Believe It or Not?
Yeah. I know what
remember
it is.
Those? The only reason I know what Episcopalian Church is because there was a chapter in one of the Ripley Believe It or Not books that I had where there was like this giant storm, like a tornado that went through like Norway or some country like that, and it destroyed everything in its path except for 14 Episcopalian churches.
Whoa!
Dang.
All the other churches, see you, bye.
I'm glad I put my time in, so maybe they'll save me too. Well, she stopped by, so we're gonna keep her.
Oh my gosh, man! Oh my gosh!
Your mic got spun around.
I'm so sorry. And I always loved, like, I'm a Christmas fanatic, and I loved, like, lighting the candles, for all 4 Sundays before Advent. I love Advent.
Right. So even in congregational, they would have, because that's like a Catholic thing, kind of, or do other people not do Advent? Oh, I don't know. I don't.
We light it for
Baptist.
like all the Sundays leading up to when Jesus is born.
Word.
Yeah.
Starting in November or something?
Starting in the first week of December.
Oh, okay.
It is a good time.
Nice. Dude, I'm excited to learn more about like because I never went to camp. We did one camp. We went to like a wooded, but we were like older black folk in the South, so it wasn't a lot of kids at my church. Dude, I love hearing. Did you have Young Life too? I know Jeff Dye talked about Young Life. Is that like a national thing? Or
I thought you meant, was I alive when I was young?
No.
No.
Like the name of the
No, I went to a place called Pilgrim Lodge.
Pilgrim Lodge. Okay.
And I loved it. I actually went back
so
as an
dope.
adult. It's a good time.
Dude, man, I want to learn more about it. Let me read the word. I thank you for bringing the word today, because we can talk about any word. We can go all around the Bible, talk about ourselves. I want to ask you a lot about yourself as well. But the word you brought today is Matthew chapter 17, and we'll do verse 18 through 20. And we'll start at 18. This is reading out of the NIV. Jesus rebuked the demon, and it came out of the boy, and he was healed at that moment. 19. Then the disciples came to Jesus in private. They was embarrassed and asked, why couldn't we drive it out? 20. He replied, because you have so little faith. Truly, I tell you, if you have faith as small as a mustard seed, you can say to this mountain, move from here to there, and it will move. Nothing will be impossible for you. And a little background, the Gospel of Matthew is the first book of the New Testament of the Bible and one of the three synoptic Gospels. The book of Matthew is credited historically to Matthew the tax collector, which was not a cool job back then.
Nobody wanted it.
Nobody wanted to be the tax collector, man. They got a bad rap. They were considered very sinful and all that. But he's one of the gospel writers. Leah, why did you pick this particular? I know you picked 20 in particular, but why this verse?
I picked this one. I also want to say, I love how I mark it with a picture of Eleanor Roosevelt.
Yeah. Come on, man. Everybody need a picture of Eleanor Roosevelt.
I love Eleanor Roosevelt.
Yeah.
I marked this one because I also brought my Bible from when I got, when you grow into the church, they give you one.
Oh, that has an inscription with your name in
Yeah.
it. Dude, that's so cool.
And then my grandfather's Bible, who he passed, and I got his Bible. And so what I wanted to show you, and I thought, is this too emotional? As a comic, we're not sensitive people at all. And
That's what it's about.
this was so my mom was in a car crash, and this was when I got to the hospital, this is all the things that were wrong with her.
Oh, she wrote that?
No,
Oh.
she was in a coma.
Oh.
The doctor gave it to me. All of these things were wrong.
Wow.
And they were like, she's never going to make it. And I was like, I don't know if you've ever been in a crisis situation. You're like, I just want to leave. You know what I mean? But you're like, obviously you can't, but you're like, I don't know if I can handle this. So I obviously stayed. I sat there and I waited, and through the night, they were like, we don't think she could make it through this surgery. And she made it through the surgery. And then my father and I and my boyfriend sat in her, it's like a trauma unit room and for a month. And her church sent us many letters, and our pastor sent me this card. And on the back of the card, on the envelope, was this Matthew quote that all you need is the faith the size of a grain of mustard seeds, and you can move a mountain. And I was like, every day I was like, I just have to hold tight to believing. I don't even have to understand the full thing. I just have to understand a little bit, and I'm just going to sit here and I'm going to believe that. And, she came out of that coma.
Wow. Dude, when you see this is a lot of stuff. Yeah. Good timing with that soundbite, baby. No, good job, Chan. But this is crazy.
It's crazy. It's a crazy amount of things wrong. And
spleen laceration looks like, oh my gosh, trauma to the T-bone. I wish I knew more about medicine.
She broke every bone on the right side of her body.
Gosh.
She ripped her liver in half. She had a brain injury, and I was like, it's too much to take in. And I got this letter with this but this was on the envelope. It wasn't even in it. And I was like, I just need to hold on, just, and then I would just sit in that.
How old were you dealing with that?
I had just turned 30.
Okay. Jeez, man. I'm so glad. But she's at the full recovery center?
Yeah, she went. I mean, she's, will never be. She did amazing.
Right.
I don't even think I could, she really hung in there. But she's like, they thought she would never, well, first they thought she would die, and then they thought she would be brain dead, and then they thought she would never, and then she went back to work.
Right. Wow, man. I mean, gosh, like I've seen never in my personal life, like somebody come out of a health situation like that. You just hear about it, but I know it hits a whole nother note when it's like that close to home, when it's a family member. Have you ever had like an injury to yourself that you needed some prayer for healing? Or
I feel like I've had things wrong with me, and in some weird way, it was so much harder on me dealing it for somebody else, because when it's you, you're like, I haven't had anything wrong with me like that.
Right.
But, when it's you, you're like, I don't know why when it's somebody and then my parents have been married for 50 years at that point. And then, my dad was devastated, and so it's so like when you want for somebody else so much.
What was other people's attitude? Because I'm always worried about what to say. Like I had a friend a comedian, her mom is going through a cancer surgery, and she posted. So I just said, try to keep it general, like not necessarily. I prayed because she did say prayer, so I made sure. Okay, yeah, I pray that you continue strength and you get carried through this. But like, it's always worrisome to say something that's gonna trick, because people are very emotional.
Yeah.
So did you like what's your attitude at that moment? Do you remember your mind state, what people were saying, and did anything feel like, I don't know, like this? Because I'm always afraid as a Christian to be too like, I'm praying for you. People go, shut up with those. You know what I mean? Like some people get like, they ain't gonna help me. And maybe I don't know. Like if you don't believe, if you don't have faith, then maybe that's not the right thing to say. But
I always say I'm putting you on my like at nighttime I go through I send out good thoughts for people going through. So I say I'm putting you on my good thoughts list.
Yeah.
Anytime anybody reached out during this time, I appreciated it. I didn't take anything weird.
Okay.
Unless they were negative. And I did, when I was younger, I was in this group with a woman whose daughter got killed. And everybody else in this group said, she's going through a lot. Well, let's give her space. And I told my mom, and she was like, don't do that. Everybody thinks you're going through a lot, and they give you space, and then you feel alone. Ooh. So I was like, and I felt nervous. I'm going to say the wrong thing, but I called, I left a message, I'm just thinking of you, and I don't even know what to say. And, if there's something I could do, I don't know what it is, but just know, I'm thinking of you. And then she called me back and said how much she appreciated it, because nobody was reaching out, even though they weren't reaching out because they thought it was the right thing to do.
Yeah, I'm like that. I'm not gonna lie. Like I'm the type, man, when I see, I've been in comedy 18 years, and you have buddies that, like either pass or commit suicide or do different things. And so the people that know them or that were real close, you're like, yeah, I don't want to say the wrong thing, but maybe that's an ego thing. Maybe that's wrong.
No, I think it's because we care and we don't want to say the wrong thing, but also I don't want to say nothing.
Yeah, I think that might be way worse, because now I'm waiting for the time to pass, and like you just feel like I didn't care, or I don't know. Like I was when my grandmother passed, this is her Bible, I remember being like, I wasn't paying attention to anything. I didn't notice there was a lot going on. That was a big deal for me. I was pretty young, but I remember a dude, I didn't do his show, and he said, I couldn't do it. And then when my grandma passed, I ended up being in Miami, and I needed to get up. So I just said, hey, I'll do that show that I couldn't do. And dude said, he was like, yeah, man, it's so crazy. I'm sorry about your grandma, but being here and seeing you here, it makes me feel like your grandma died for a reason. And that reason was to do his show. And I was like, my 95-year-old grandma did not fall, break her hip, and have a heart attack so that I could do your bar show in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. But thank you for your... But
I think he was just trying to be like, nice about things.
Yeah.
Comics say the wildest things.
It was so wild. But I remember I didn't say nothing to him, and then I said it on stage, and that was like the first joke I said after that. Did you feel like you couldn't... How did you feel like emotionally as far as doing comedy at that time? Did you feel like you had to wait till your mom healed, or...
I mean, I went and slept in this hospital. It was in Philly.
Of course, yeah.
And then she was in, a coma for a long time. Do you know Del Harrison?
Yes.
She moved here. So Del used to run a show in this basement of a bar that I can't think of the name is. And I'd reached out to Del. And
in Philly? It was in Philly, this basement?
The show is in New York.
Oh, okay.
And so I was like, I have to come back and get clothes and stuff. And she's like, come by.
Ooh.
So I would go by to Del's show and just sort of like try to talk or whatever, you know, and it really meant a lot to me.
Yeah.
And then actually I was supposed to go to Iraq in the middle of this, perform for the troops. And I didn't want to go. And then the doctors were incredible. Like we had the most amazing doctors and the nursing staff. Like they took such good care of not only my mom, but me and my dad and my boyfriend. And, you know, cause they let us stay in the room, which I'm sure it's annoying to have somebody up your, you know what I mean? But they let us cause I was just like, I just want to be near her, you know? And so, I was supposed to go to Iraq and they were like, did she know you were going to Iraq? And I was like, yes. And they were like, well, and it was important to her, like as a way to give back. And so they were like, if you don't go to Iraq, so this is when she had started coming out of the coma. She's going to think that you think that she's not going to make it. And that's why you're not going. Dang. So if you go, it'll give her something to hang on for you coming back.
Yeah. So you know what too? Like that reminds me, because today I was listening to like a word on the way over here, and it mentioned how, because a big debate in Christian theology is faith and works, right? Because we're talking about faith, but the idea that I think people try to really understand, because Jesus freed us from having to do works. We're not under law in order to have redemption, but you have faith first, and the faith allows you. So what you're saying right there is like the faith would have activated you just going about your life regularly, right? Like when faith is activated in somebody, you see that their works are more productive is the idea, as opposed to people thinking that I'm glorious or I should be praised because of what I do. Have you ever heard this? First of all, am I not making any sense? I don't think Shannon probably knows what I'm talking about.
No.
Do you mean the works like in service of others?
Right. So like the idea is, so there's a chapter, people always say these two disagree. Like faith without works is dead. But then there's other parts of the Bible, even in Matthew, where it talks about you didn't clothe this person, you didn't do this for this person, you didn't. So then some people say, see, right there, you're supposed to do these things, and that's where you get your righteousness from. And people say, no, you don't need that. You need faith in Jesus, and then those things will be more apparent in your life. So it seems like what the doctor was saying, that's why maybe I was saying, like, your behavior is showing that you lack faith, right? So I think,
yes, if I stayed, my behavior would have showed that I lacked faith.
Right. And what that would have done to the outward, appearance of the situation and to her morale. So I love that. It reminded me of that in essence, because in my opinion, and people can disagree, I suppose, but yeah, faith, once you have faith, your behavior, like if you have faith in your, in your ability to do comedy, right? Have faith. That's not just, then the works happen. Then you go up, you do things, you're going to get better. You don't just say, I know I'm going to be a rich and famous comic. Yes, that can be true, right? I have faith in that. But then the process happens, right? Through the faith. I feel like I'm.
No, you're not at all. I'm thinking about it really hard because I was like, wow, I really lack faith in my comedy career. But
really?
Yeah.
That's insane. I don't even believe that, because I see you're so confident when you go on stage. You kill it every time I've seen you.
I go home, I lay on the floor and I go, what am I doing?
Really?
Yes. All the time. I'm like, but I feel like, if people do good works,
yes,
whatever the reason is, right, I think it works. It can work either way. Like if you show up and clothe people because you want to be better, good. If you feel like you're doing this because you have faith, good. Because people are getting clothed regardless. You know what I mean? And I sort of think that's like we're supposed to take care of each other.
I think so too. You don't mind it if they do it on Instagram it seems like it's for clout?
Well, I have trouble with that because I sort of in the church I grew, and this is something I also struggle with, I think, being from New England and I'm like an older generation. Like you're not supposed to talk about when you volunteer or when you donate, and that it's sort of like not blasphemous but hubristic. But then now it's like, also, how do people know that this is something you care about and that maybe they should check it out too, or that you don't want to ignore it and then be like, I'm not going to speak to this at all. Because then it's like, am I acting like I don't think it exists? So I find it to be this weird moral, I'm not sure quite what the right line is.
I think it's in the person's heart, maybe.
Yeah, it's like intent versus outward projection, And I think that's why people don't like evangelists. We've been talking about evangelists a lot, and it's because I think there's this like self-motivating factor of like, them telling you what to do for the sake of looking like they have the answers.
100. I have a lot of evangelists in my family, and that's exactly what they do. I feel like that's what they're doing.
Right.
Yeah, it's a little bit of self-serving,
I'd say more than a little bit.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure there are like good evangelists out there. There has to be.
Yeah.
Right?
And
not all of them can be bad. It might be tipped in the scale.
Yeah. Because I think evangelism itself is the idea of, I suppose the definition is because you can evangelize anything as far as bringing a message. Is that right? I mean, maybe I could, whatever the definition is, it's like spreading a message. I'm sure Channing can look it up. But yeah, there's ways to do it without, there's ways to do it. Like if you are the light, and people go, Leah, the way you carry yourself, what is that, right? And that's a way to evangelize in a certain way. But if you're going around, what are you full of sin, and look at you. And let's talk about your sin, right? Let's talk about focusing on, we're all full of sin, right? That's the idea. We're all flesh. We all have something. What are you hiding that you're trying to
get other people?
Yeah.
It's like these politicians that go after like, oh, everybody's a pedophile, and then they're pedophiles.
Yeah. Yeah, they have some. What did you get the definition?
Yeah, it's directly related to Christianity.
Oh, okay. Spreading the message of Christianity.
I also feel like evangelists are so against other religions, and I think that's so not at what the heart of. It's like any way path to God is a great path. I don't know why you got to jump on other people's dicks.
Right. People go hard on that, like, oh, there's. And I'm, I bring people on here who are atheists and all kinds of different ideologies, and I think that it's about having a dialogue. It's not even about me saying this is what's right or whatever. But I feel like, like when people are on a path to, you can see it in their heart. Like I may not have the same theological ideas as Malcolm X, but I appreciate a man that's found a way to be. You can just see a respect that he has for himself, right? He carries himself a certain way. He doesn't seem to be going after flesh, and like as far as like lusting after women and stuff like that, he seems to have a mission. And to me, that's a God-driven mission. You can tell regardless of the outward, he's from Islam or from this, but I'm sure I'm going to get railed on by people that are very Christian, like, I mean,
they're going to rail.
They're going to do whatever they're going to do, man. Y'all come after me, but I can respect people from different, like you said, it's the heart of the thing when the person is after, like a good deed. And yeah, whatever the theology, maybe that'll come along at some point. Who cares? But I don't care. But whatever.
Doesn't mean that.
I mean like that. But you know what I mean? Like the work will eventually. I feel like we're all dealing with our own sin, with our own shortcomings, right? But I'm shocked that you don't. So let's back up. Have you always felt like this in comedy? Like you didn't. You said, I'm good. I must be funny.
No, I didn't say that. I said, I feel like I want to have stuff I want to talk about.
Okay. And you were like, and this is you started on the East Coast.
Yeah. And I think, I just have this like, I want to get better.
Okay.
So I'm going to get up and get better, But I don't think I've ever sat back and been like, oh, I'm.
Dude, there's no way. You go up and you rip and you like, people don't want to follow you.
Stop. And people don't want to follow you. Have you ever followed him?
No.
Dude.
I've been at shows where people have to follow him.
I followed you. How many times have I had to follow you? And I want to be like, can we take 30 seconds just to all recover from so much liking him before we get back to me?
I was with Leah standing next to her and we both did some room. It was a Hollywood. I forget. It's like an upstairs. It's a tough room. But people kept. Like, when you don't want to stand by somebody because people keep going, you're so great, you're so funny. And they give you dirty looks and stuff.
No. What world are you living in?
Dude, that's exactly what's going on. But which is a great thing. So that's why it's so shocking to me.
Sitting there putting your head in what scratch too.
Come on, give me some of that love, brother. Come on, slide some of that love over here. People
stop. Everybody loves you. You're hilarious.
No, man. But look, but that's so odd. But, like, wow, like, did you have to. So you said, I'm going to make money in this at least. You're like, I know I'm at least funny enough.
I don't even think I said that. I was like, I mean, you keep working other jobs until you don't have to anymore.
Right.
But I was like, I just want to be good at it. I'm just going to keep working until.
Yeah.
I guess maybe I should try just being like, I'm good at this. Yeah. Although I just said that and I wanted to like hit myself in the face.
That's so wild.
It sounds so. Also, this is the side of a part of my family, which I won't name because it makes me feel I still have that like. On one side of my family, the idea that you would have confidence in yourself is like not good.
Right.
Like you're not allowed to be confident, which is a part of their church that I disliked intensely.
Right.
But it's so deep inside of myself.
Which to me, I was actually talking to somebody that doesn't seem to be lined up with anything about Jesus.
It doesn't at all.
Jesus was he knew who he was. Like
Yes.
people assume that being humble means that you're not honest about your ability. I'm good at a thing. I've done it for a while or whatever. I have a mission. Or you just state that. This doesn't mean. One thing I love about God, like when he was creating the universe, he just said stuff is good without comparison. Like and it was good. And God saw that it was good without anything to compare it to. Just looked at the water, that's good. I made people, that's good.
I'm going to have to tape this and then play it in my ear because.
What's wrong with saying your stuff is good?
No, you're absolutely right.
Oh my gosh, man! But no, I think you're amazing, but I love it. I mean, that's good. That is that just show humility when you're hard on yourself. And one thing that's cool about this passage in particular, Jesus is hard on his disciples, obviously, because he's trying to groom them because he's about to die, right? Like we're getting close to where the crucifixion is about to happen, of course, the resurrection, all that other stuff. But here he's like admonishing them, like. About their faith, right? And why they weren't able to drive the demon out of the little boy who was vexed with a demon. Do you have any mentors that helped you out? I know I don't know, Del, you guys are probably more like contemporaries, but like, do you remember mentorship in either comedy or in any other part of your life? And what kind of style do you answer to? Do you like being like, somebody being hard on you, or do you prefer a different style of coaching?
Are we talking about in comedy, or are we talking about in exercising demons?
Well, no. I'm sure it's just in comedy, which is exercising a demon. You can laugh a demon out. So come
I agree.
Yes, I've seen them people come in here ready to kill somebody, and Leah relaxes them.
Oh my goodness.
Makes them laugh, put the knife up.
I want to say that Pilgrim Lodge, really quick, had this picture of Jesus, drawing, photos. They were so big back then, and it was, this church is also like very into science and like, you know what I mean? It's like just very like, why would we not? Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It's science, and they can go together. But when you walked into the cafeteria, it was a drawing of Jesus laughing.
Hey!
Oh, wow.
And I loved it because I feel like a lot of this other sort of more evangelical church that is a part of my family is so no humor. It's all, and you're like, I feel like you're missing the point.
Jesus was chill, man.
Chill. He's having a good time.
Dude, I mean, he's playing in dirt at one point, right before they want to stone that lady. Jesus is playing in the dirt. The Bible made it, like they made sure to mention that he's playing in the dirt. He's probably just enjoying creation. Like, wow, I get to experience this on a different, like a person, right? He gets to cry. He gets to do, even there's a Bible podcast where they broke down his humor, because humor is different back then. But apparently, like, you can like, some of his sermons had humorous aspects to it. We probably wouldn't find it as funny.
Oh, I like that.
At the part where he says, if your father said he's going to give you bread, would you give him a stone or whatever? Like, and they were like, that's probably how he delivered it, because bread can look like stone. And everybody was like, ha, ha, ha. Yeah.
So good.
That's good. Bread look like stone. Jesus. And if he asked you for this, would you give him a scorpion? And people were like, that's a good one.
Scorpion.
There's humor in the Bible. At the part where Lot was telling everybody, run, run, they thought their dad was joking. So apparently he's done this before. He's been like, guys, the world is about to end. Let's get out of here. And they're like, oh.
You said it before.
Look at Pops. that old the world's about to end, pillar of salt bull. But yeah, he's funny. God has a sense of humor, I believe.
I like that. No, I do too, obviously. Otherwise, I mean, I've staked my existence on it. So.
Right. Do you do church? I mean, I know you have a good relationship with your history in churches. Do you perform at churches?
Well, I recently performed at a church.
How was that?
And I walked in, I opened up with my bell choir stuff. I was like, I'm going to let these people know I was in the bell choir, and maybe I'll win them over. And then I obviously didn't do any of my sexual stuff. I didn't do any of my politics. And then I brought, I love Lord of the Rings, and J.R. Tolkien, who wrote it, is Catholic. Has a huge amount of faith, and him and C.S. Lewis, who became a Protestant, they were like best friends, and they wrote together. Right. And The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe is like an allegory for Jesus and God. But a lot of these churches, they think that wizards are against God or like Harry Potter. And I'm like, these are just stories about religion in different ways. And I completely forgot that what kind of church I was in. And I brought up Gandalf and Lord of the Rings. And I just saw that I'd already done 30 minutes of clean material. And I was like, I am out. I am done.
I'm just rolling.
I'm closing on this. And then I saw half the audience be like, oh, you wizard. And then they just turned on. And I was like, if I lose you on this, I'll lose you. Because this is classic stuff. And also there's like wonderful stories in there that you should be into.
See, that's what I was talking. Like, I feel like, and this is gonna sound messed up, I hope, but I feel like there's more honesty in a regular comedy club than there is at church, because they're listening for a trigger word, right? And not actually the meaning behind it or the essence of what's happening here. I'm hearing a wizard, and now I'm shutting off any ability to relate to the joke, as opposed to being at a club where, look, man, I use this example. I feel like if a comic gets on stage and says, man, I'm depressed, and starts their set, okay, that makes sense. Whatever, that happens. I'm anxious. I'm honest about it. If a pastor gets on a pulpit and says, guys, I'm depressed, just came from my therapist, but we'll see what happens. There would be a stampede. Yeah. There'd be a stampede. They would run out the church, because you can't just have that level of honesty. Doesn't mean that you're telling the truth, right? Maybe you shouldn't be depressed. I don't know. But the honesty is my best shot at being at the truth from where I am, from my perspective, right? I feel like I'm on a soapbox right now.
Say it.
But yeah, man. I just feel like they can be, that's why I love this podcast, because we can be honest about our interpretation of the word and not be trying to do a thing. Like, I feel like in church, that's my problem with performing there. There's too much thought before they're just reacting, right? And you feel like a little more, there's too many things. You just need like a joke, and is it funny or not? Immediate, right?
Yeah. Comedy audiences got to be like dogs. They just need to be reactionary.
Right. They're
don't
just
try and outthink the joke. Don't try and outthink the room.
Put extra stuff on it.
Also, you don't need to be judgy. Like, it's like, that's straight up from the Bible. That's why I can't stand all these judgy people. I'll be like, did you even... What's your take? You know what I mean? You're like, you really don't get it at all. It's not for you to judge.
Exactly. It's like, is it... And you're the only thing you're judging is the level
funny?
of humor. Yeah. And then don't laugh if you don't think it's funny. But then why I'm going to change my entire opinion about this person that was up here making me laugh for 30 minutes because the word wizard.
Because she likes wizards.
Which she's not saying I believe in wizards.
I believe in wizards.
Oh, okay. Which is in the Bible. There's wizards in the Bible. They're talking, I think, remember that was one of the questions, Channing? Paul blinded one of the wizards, or how did he fight some guy? But they're sorcerers. Moses, he had to go up against Pharaoh's sorcerers, and his snake ate their snakes. So there's ideas of magicians and wizardry. So,
there was one I was looking at today when I was putting today's quizzes together that referenced a witch.
A witch? Yeah. That's like a sort like a female. Yeah, Bar Jesus. Wasn't he the one you mentioned last week? He was,
I don't know what he was.
The sorcerer that went up against Paul.
Something like that.
And then Baal, all the sorcerers of Baal went up against Elijah, and they all tried to. So it's all up in this book, man. So read your book, right? And not be talking about, she said wizard. That ain't Bible.
That ain't Bible.
That ain't Bible.
I have one like Bible joke that I wanted to do, but I was like, not for these people, because it's about Easter. And it's how people, a lot of my friends aren't religious, and that's their business. And they'll be like, how can you believe in something that's so misogynistic? Yeah. And this was, this wasn't written by God. This was written by men interpreting. So, once, no disrespect, men start interpreting, they make it work for them. Right. And so that's not what you know what I mean? But I was like, because the telling of the resurrection story, which I had this really funny pastor at a Methodist church who was like, I think we can all agree that this is a metaphor, and we all know what science is. But, the idea that like the women show up at Jesus's cave first to like they stay by him when everybody else runs. They do all the work. They're going to clean the body. They see Jesus first, and then nobody else believes them. Right. You're like, that's the most realistic shit I've ever heard in my life. There's like women fucking doing all the work, and they're like, guess what I see? And the guys are like, okay, whatever.
Whatever, woman.
Sure thing, lady. Are you having your period? Because you're crazy. And then Simon's like, oh my God, I saw God. And the Mary's back there like, yeah,
Right.
So I think I told you months ago, dude.
Yeah. Oh
She's
my
like,
God.
still got his blood on her.
Right.
She's-
Yeah.
Right.
I've been putting the work in.
When people talk about like what God is, a man or a woman, one thing I do know for sure, I always tell people, he's not a man, because he says that. He says like, I am not a man. He literally, there's a part in the Bible where he tells Job, I'm not a man that I should lie. So I'm not a lying ass man. Now whether he's a woman or has sexual parts, I don't know. They just use the word he just because that's like, I don't want to say it.
Right. And it's
maybe.
also been translated so many times.
Tons of times. Like we were saying, like from the KJV, that verse you brought was devil or demon or the devil. Rebuke the devil. And here in the NIV, it's demon, which can be, who knows, right? But from the original language, these words might be similar, but have different meanings. We have like 171,000 words that we use, right? In
Yeah,
our
it's like
language.
what holds
There
us all together.
Yeah,
and
there's 7,000
it's
back
above us.
then.
Yeah,
So you
that's
just
so
kinda-
many.
There's not that many. Like we say more words in a day now than they had access to in Aramaic. So it's like, yeah, dude.
I even think, and this is really, I'm going to hear this back and be like, I am not this sentimental, but
Come on now.
the
Come on, give it to me now.
The idea, like, I love science straight up, and I don't see why they're different. And so the idea that like stars exploded and then we've all evolved from literal fucking stardust.
Yeah.
How is that not the coolest God shit you've ever heard?
It's dope.
It's dope.
Yeah, I haven't heard that, but it sounds dope to me.
It's
Why
real.
not? Yeah,
It's literally real.
like that.
Because we all grew out of the same thing.
Right,
So
right,
it's
right,
essentially
right.
stars exploding.
Ah,
So like we've all evolved. So I guess we would all have stardust inside of us. We all have the same shit inside of us from like the very beginning.
Yeah. I'm a sorcerer.
All the same atoms,
It's
right?
all the same atoms because
They
we
don't-
don't
yeah.
we don't lose
Yeah.
mass. What is it?
Energy can't be destroyed. It can only continue.
These
I don't
all
know.
sound right to me. Like this all sounds good.
No, they're all right. It's,
I heard
Right.
some shit the other day that was like the likelihood that you've drinking dinosaur piss is something like 95%.
I hope so.
Oh,
Because the water, the molecules are all the same, just regenerating through, the cycle of precipitation, piss, back down, dinosaur piss, through the clouds. You drink it.
That's one of my favorite things. Is when
somebody's
you're
just
in a,
gonna isolate
Yeah,
that.
I hope
They on Bible study talking about dinosaur pee.
and then they'll just cut to one of us drinking. When people are like the
That cold
devil's
brew
been
right there is Stegosaurus piss.
I mean,
I actually hope it's Brontosaurus because
Right.
they are my favorite with those eyes.
Yeah.
The idea that the devil's been spreading, that's what one of my family members would always be like, the devil, they didn't want me in science class. The devil's been spreading dinosaur bones. And you're like, really? They have that kind of time?
Right, right.
Just get on board with dinosaurs and get over it.
The
It
Bible-
doesn't have to be against.
yeah, people say, oh, because it's not in the Bible. The Bible's a story of people. It's not a story of God, right? Because in the beginning was God. He was already there. So it's not God's story. I don't know what else he did. If he made aliens or dinosaurs. I don't believe in aliens because they can't help me, right? Like, I don't know. Maybe if they think about me, that's great. I just believe in Jesus because it helps me too. Like, it is to be like Jesus. But I don't know what aliens. Why not? I don't know. Dinosaur pee sounds good. I don't know, man. I ain't gonna argue with nobody about that stuff.
I also think the
Stardust is
takeaway,
good. Yeah.
the takeaway is that love is stronger than everything else. And you're supposed to love people, which sounds so like as a comic, you're like, I'm disgusted.
Yeah.
But it is actually much harder than being angry, understanding where people come from, being like, I love you for who you are. You know what I mean? That's taking the high road is way harder.
You can't convince me that comics don't think like, because how could you get up in front of a bunch of strangers? You don't ask them their political affiliation at the top of the show, or before I make you laugh, let me make sure that you think like me or that you believe. No, dude, you love everybody. You come with that expectation that I can make these people laugh. Whatever they have come with, I can attack them. And then when you find out they're racist after or whatever, right? But you come with the intention that everybody can be, my comedy can reach everybody. But I feel like yours is, and I love that you got into like a female, I feel it's empowering. When I watch you talked about female serial killers as one of my favorite jokes.
I like women murdering people.
You're a women, there's female empowerment in your set, not just in what you talk about, but in how you carry yourself, the energy, the confidence that you bring to the stage, which is shocking to me that you say you don't have it off, but what you exude is that. Does it bother you? Like churches that don't empower women to speak or that use certain scriptures?
I hate it so much.
Yeah.
I think it's so, and I know a lot, they're a part of my family who's been in churches where it's like, you know, the women is subservient to the husband, and you're like, oh, well, that got written in there to make guys have their lives better. It's garbage. And you know, I hate it so much, and I hate it because I think when you're raised religious, it's deep inside of you, so it's so hard to get rid of. So then you did you watch that Mormon mini series with and now I'm going to blank on every word. It was so good, and it was about a Mormon sect. But there's this scene, and I'm going to cry just talking about it, where this one woman who gets out is trying to go get this other girl, and she's standing in a parking lot and she's screaming at her, walk away from this man. And he's not holding her physically, but she can't move because she so has been indoctrinated that her job is to serve him. And I think a lot of that has come from religion, which I think isn't what faith is supposed to be about at all. That's like the politics of the people who wrote it to benefit them, not religion, but the actual Bible. That's why for a long time I feel like I struggled, but then I was like, oh no, I don't have to take that on. That's not my. I wrote this article once. It was during Pride about, you remember when Jesus flipped the tables in the church because he was like angry. He's like, this is not what I'm telling you guys. This was not
Jerusalem.
to raise flipping the tables. And I talked about that and how it was like the whole point of Jesus was to love everybody. And I hate these Christians who come out and are anti-gay and homophobic and say horrible things about gay and trans people, and I hate it, and I think it's so un-Christian. And I think, you know, God loves everybody, and all these like alt-right Christian people sent me all these like nasty, hateful, death thready kinds of things.
They coming at me. Come on.
And I want to be like, oh, how Christian of you.
Yeah.
Also, these are Jesus did flip the tables, and he did say love everybody. So fuck you. You know what I mean?
Right.
But I just can't stand that. Like, really,
those are the people that he got into it most with. Is religious people. Pharisees were the religious people of their time. They were so in love with their religion, they had no more power. Right? Even we're talking about these disciples. The religious aspect of it is not what has power. Right? It's the relationship with God.
Yes.
That gives you power. And that relationship is powered through love and intention. Like how you're coming at the person, right? If I have faith, you know, even with we talk about the Pharisees that tried to trap Jesus with the lady when she got caught in adultery. And the idea being that if we get Jesus in this loophole, he's out here preaching grace and forgiveness, right? Which, but the law of Moses said that if you get caught in adultery, you get stoned. So how's he going to handle this? Because if he says we let her go, he's defied Moses, and everybody will, you know, say he's a false prophet. But what he does is genius. He goes, well, yeah, and the wages of sin is death, so she has to die. But whoever's without sin, go ahead, throw the first one.
You go first.
And he already knows your business, right? People would try to lie. I love in that part, the oldest of them left first. That's what it says. The oldest people, because you know when you get old, you like, man, let me not even act like I'm above righteousness. I know what I did, stuff. You know. And they leave first, but the younger people, eventually everybody leaves, and the only person left is Jesus, and he says, "Go and sin no more." There it is. But we're all full of it, man. Like, why does the church need that? They need a them. They need like a. I guess it's a business thing.
Yeah, it is. It's a money business thing. But I don't think we need it. We can just walk from that immediately.
Right.
That's garbage.
I guess when you're looking at a church, because Jesus just healed people. Like this kid, he wasn't a medicated thing, like take this and come back.
Yeah, he's not like, here's your copay.
You're gone. Yeah, there's no building because it's like, yeah, you come and get healed, you get up out of here. But people go to church to get medicated, but they need, I don't know, the ego needs something to push up against, it seems like.
I don't think it actually does. I think it's been so long.
Right.
And I do think that that's a very, no disrespect, it's like coming from this male line of the patriarchal church where it's like there's always an ego issue. Mm-hmm. And it's like we don't have to be better than or tell anybody. Like we're literally supposed to just take care of each other.
That's right.
So why don't we figure that out?
Right.
And the planet.
Right.
And the animals, which are part of the planet. And as a complete side note, that reminded me of, I was driving home the other night. I do find being raised in a churchy kind of way, and then also in a small town, I struggle with where does my responsibility end?
Right.
Because you can't, I've gone to help people in the city, and it's like, you're just going to get yourself in trouble. You know what I mean? You cannot get involved. It's like when
you say, you mean like in their disputes?
Or like something's happening on the subway, or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's been such a long long road for me because I have that Good Samaritan story in there. And the other night I was driving home and there was this huge fight, and it was like this bunch of guys were ganging up on this one man, and they were in the middle of the street, and I stopped the car. I just stopped my car, and that I had like this full moral breakdown where I was like, you're supposed to get out of the car and help. And the other side of me was like, it's like 8 dudes. You're just going to get your ass whooped. And then I was like, I don't know what the right thing to do
Were there 8 dudes fighting one person?
One dude.
Oh,
shit.
And I was like, I was like, get out of the car. And the other side of me was like, you are staying in the car.
Oh my gosh, dude. Yeah, no, I think that's the wise decision.
But what happened? I stopped, somebody else stopped, and then 2 people turned to where they are. So it broke the fight up. But I just had to sit there to be like, you're not supposed to involve yourself in something that's going. But then I'm like, but are you?
No, there's strategy. I think there's
It's
a way.
test.
Yeah.
Scary. You know what I mean?
What would you have done, Channing? You would have pulled up on him?
I would have pulled out my phone and recorded the shit out of it.
There you go. Go put on World Star.
Yeah, maybe that'd be the only way I can help is by getting proof of what happened.
Right.
I'm not jumping in there.
Right,
I'm
right,
5'6".
Now, if it was a bunch of black people, I would have like it was the doc thing that happened. I would have had to jump in there. Like if it was just one brother.
my chair.
Right, I would have grabbed a chair. I don't know. Are you familiar with that? With all the
Yeah, I'm
black folk
familiar with that.
Yeah,
I've never watched so many different versions of like all the different memes people made and stories with the Avengers and the man who swam across.
Yeah, I think it's more like where that took place and like the people involved. So
it's also such a clear, you know what I mean? This guy's just doing his job, and then he gets jumped on by all these like, you're just like, and then with a hat throw and all of this.
It's like he's graduating.
It's incredible. And then all these people show up to help him. This was like, I didn't see the beginning. I didn't know. And it was dark. You know, when you're on Hollywood Boulevard.
Right. So
and then you're like, are you getting out of this car right now?
Nah, good decision not to.
100% good decision.
Yeah.
I still stopped the car in the middle of the road, and I was like,
And maybe that helped. Maybe, I mean, that was enough to let them go, okay, there's people aware of this. And so, yeah, maybe flash the lights. Hey, get out of here, young fella. That's what I do now. I see young people doing crazy stuff. Hey, young buck, don't do that.
Yeah, I definitely
and
did
I
a
sound
little
like that, too. So they're like scared. They're like, that's an old man.
I got out. When I got home, I said to my boyfriend, I go, should I have gone out? He goes, absolutely not. You're going to fight 9 guys? Is that what's happening right now?
I love it. He's absolutely. Is he really talking like that?
He really was like, for sure, no.
Love this guy. I'm sorry I haven't met you. Boy, is he a man of faith or is he grow up in faith?
He has such an interesting background because he grew up in like a more sort of topsy-turvy. I mean, I'll leave. He's a comic, so he talks about it on stage, or I wouldn't share his story.
I didn't know that. Okay.
But he, went to Mormonism to sort of have like a very regular, scheduled, to want that life that was like very. And then he left the Mormon church, and then and I think together we sort of started. We've always had like belief in something bigger than ourselves that joins us all together. Mm-hmm. And I spend a lot of time in gratitude, which we both work at a lot, which I think is a part of faith.
Absolutely. Do you guys believe in each other's career? Like, is that important that your partner believe that you can be successful and that you and vice versa believe the same? I
think we believe yes. And we also do whatever it is. Like, I want the best for them.
So however I can help to
and
propel your purpose in life.
And I feel the same he feels about me, which I feel, especially as like a woman, when I think it's hard for women who are very independent. Mm-hmm. You have to find somebody who's incredibly comfortable with themselves. Right. Because you don't need somebody there being like, I got, you know what I mean?
Right, you're on the road with people. I
need to be trusted 100%.
Right.
I don't want any shit about it. Right. I'm going to trust you 100%. I'm not going to give you any shit about it. I want you to do whatever you want to do. Right. I want to do whatever I want to do. Right. And I'll give you that 100% unless you show me otherwise.
Right. And I feel like, do you feel like that's freeing when you have that? Because you have the choice to love me constantly. I think that's how God operates with us. It's not love if there is no choice. So we have free will, which is choice. But yeah, you can take, so I think like the bind sometimes can confuse that relationship, the law, the idea. Do you guys feel like it's a consistent, like, choice? I mean, you're not married.
No, we've been engaged for 15 years.
That's great.
Really?
Yes.
So do you feel like the marriage would would ruin that aspect of it?
I don't know. I think he would like a party, like a because he loves parties.
Yeah.
Parties make me anxious, but
would it change the dynamic, the relationship?
I don't know if I mean at this point we're very
comfortable.
You know what I mean? Like he's on my medical. There's nothing I don't. You know what I mean? But we're very happy.
Right. Just I love that. Oh, dude, that's hard to be happy in a marriage. I mean, happy in a relationship.
Yeah, I mean, my parent, nobody in my family, like my parents have been married like 65 years.
Whoa.
Or 57. Why am I 65ing? It's almost 60. I just bumped it up a little high. I don't know why I did that.
But has it been a process for them? I mean, you got the experience, I mean, did they have tough... I saw my parents go through a lot of stuff.
Well, my parents also work together, so they're like,
oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Woo. And then both of their parents never divorced. There's really not any. Nobody in my immediate family has ever divorced. Like you just sort of, you do whatever it is to make it work.
Oh man, my parents kind of like that. Man, and. I don't want to get too real, but yeah, when you go through your marital stuff, man, that is a heavy burden on you. Like when you're like, it feels like a failure, even though a lot of people do it, like divorce and stuff like that. I was reading Amy Poehler's book. Like she went through a public divorce, but yeah, she was like, she felt so alone, and the statistics reveal one other thing, but when you see people in relationships, they all seem happy. Really, 50% of people staying together is kind of amazing. That's because people say 50% of relationships end in divorce. I'm shocked that 50% of people stay together. That's crazy.
Yeah.
But some of them stay together in obligation. They just don't want to look bad. I don't know. Like they'd rather be unhappy, and but not saying everybody. I'm sure that 57 years.
Well, my parents were definitely like a team.
They're like a team.
My mother just came and stayed. This was a big deal because it's the first time she's flown alone since her car accident. Yeah. Because she has brain damage. So my dad drove her far enough so she could take a direct flight to LA. Yeah. I picked her up, and then they'll wheel you out. It was so nice. Right. And so literally, they must have called each other like twice a day. Yeah. Hey, what are you doing? What'd you eat for breakfast? I'd be like, oh my God, can you guys?
Like a little tandem. Do you think? And like, I don't mean the pride, but do you think that they're a little bit trauma bonded from the accident?
No, they grew up together.
Oh yeah.
Dang.
They went to church school together.
I need them on here, man.
My parents have been together since 6th grade.
They were, oh my God, since you were in 6th grade?
No, since
they were in 6th grade.
Oh, so we have the same thing. When you were in 6th grade?
I think their dynamic changed with this accident because they are, my mom can't drive. Yeah. We live in a rural area. Right. And my dad, and there's a whole dynamic there, but they were already, very.
Yeah, is she
already like
a unit?
Yeah, tight. Yeah.
They're like Station. You ever seen Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure?
I do remember Bill and Ted's. I don't remember Station.
There's a character at the end named Station who splits into two, but it's really one. But it can split into two individual little beings.
How do I not remember that?
That's kind of what Jesus says about marriage. It's like one flesh. You become one flesh, which is so interesting to me. I'm like, I've never seen. I mean, my parents are kind of getting there. They kind of have their things, and they don't talk for some time, but they seem happy together, happier than they were when I was growing up. But that's the idea behind marriage, that you become one flesh. And I do want to get to this trivia. I want to whoop Leah in this.
You're gonna. So I mean, let's just say that you're gonna do it.
But I did want to ask you one other thing about, because you're so you have your hands in short film, you have your hands in writing, everything that you do in the entertainment business. What's the thing that's tested your faith the most in the entertainment business? Or what about?
How about the entertainment business?
Just itself?
Yeah,
oh my gosh.
It's such a hard hang on because a lot of it doesn't even I don't want to say that that's negative, but I feel like so much of it has to do with I'm going to back that up too.
Yeah.
It's like hanging on through all the things that just so many rejections. And you have like very certain things are I don't like saying unfair because life isn't fair, but like things that like just didn't work out for you because of something that actually had nothing to do with your comedy, nothing to do with your work ethic. Just like people are picking things for other, and you're just like,
Right.
I'm going to keep my eyes on my own paper and I'm going to do what I do. And, it's always, and I remember my mother said this to me when I was very little, and it is one of the things that stuck with me that I appreciate so much. And it's that, well, I appreciate from my parents, they're both very hard workers. They left they moved, they opened their own business, they're potters, and they worked like 24/7, 7 days a week to make their dreams come true.
Oh my gosh.
So I think that is an incredible role model to have.
In the Bible, like even God is a potter. Like that's why the TD Jakes calls the church the Potter's house. Look at that right there. That's so true. I mean, I gotta meet your parents.
They're a fun time.
They sound just adorable.
Yeah.
I mean, you'll just come over and they'll just feed you a lot. That's what's going to happen. And then my mother will ask inappropriate questions. That's how she rolls. That's how she's always rolled. She's going to want to talk about pooping right up top. And are you
I
pooping
got a bidet
okay?
and a squatty potty. We're ready to go.
She will talk about that with you for hours. She calls her squatty potty the machine. And I was like, it's not a machine. It literally is a piece of plastic.
Are you guys talking about a bidet? What's
No,
a
a squatty potty is how you put your feet up.
Oh, because you're supposed to
Be in that position.
Oh my gosh, yeah,
Yeah,
I've
that's
heard
the
it.
natural position that you're supposed to be in.
when you oh
Knees
wow,
are up.
This woman loves to talk
The
about poop.
machine.
oh my
machine.
god,
Hilarious. She's calling Bert Kreischer's movie a piece of shit. I didn't see it, but it probably was.
My mom would literally just carry it everywhere if she could. It's so.
I love it.
Oh, and then so my mom said to me, I came home from school and I said something about another girl, and my mother goes, "We never don't get excited for other people."
Woo!
And I mean, that was like one of my earliest memories.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Who the Lord loveth, the Lord chasteneth. So
Right?
It's good
So-
to have people that get up on you and keep you on that. Yeah, that's a great mindset because I feel like you've carried it to not be in that comparison trap.
Because I think that'll kill you.
It'll kill you
If
in
you
this day
can't
and
be
age.
excited for other people, especially your friends,
Yeah.
it's a poison.
Oh my gosh, it'll rot you from the inside, man. But
The old saying, comparison is the thief of joy. Who
Thief
was
of
that?
joy, it's so true.
oh my
that?
gosh, speaking
But
of
it's hard, I think, to stay positive on this because you're like, oh, how come I don't have a manager that wants to submit me for things? Or, I have you know what I mean? And then you're like, you're just going to do what you do and you're going to stay the path and you're going to get better at skills that you can get better at. And maybe you can actually learn how to ask for things.
Yeah.
And you're going to work on things that feed your soul.
right,
And you just regroup and go to I always, talk about what's your why? Why are you doing this? And then just move forward.
right, yeah.
That's why I think
that.
the grateful list is so important. Because
Yeah,
some days you
yeah.
just want to pack up and move into the woods.
Right. Oh my gosh, dude, I love that. But speaking of thief of joy,
Oh no.
Leah's come
Sean's
to
trying to take some hearts.
steal my joy.
I'm
She's
gonna
trying
just
to
say right
steal
now,
my belt.
I want our audience to know, are we going to do Rocky? Come on. I own this on DVD. The whole box
Come
set.
on now. Come on now. Woo! Woo!
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, believers and non-believers alike, your host, Sean Grant, is coming off of one loss
It's all
to
right.
Jaquita Love.
Yeah.
He's looking to regain his belt. Leah Bonnema, you are representing the guests.
Oh, I'm going to say up top, I'm going to lose. I don't remember facts. I remember
Yeah,
feelings.
she has no faith. Thank you, Jesus.
No, I have faith
Not
in my
even-
feelings, but not facts.
I have the faith of an apple seed. So let's do this.
So you're currently holding the belt on behalf of the guests. So you're representing an entire faction of people who've
Oh,
been in here.
no.
Yeah.
I'm representing a faction.
Yeah.
You're the reigning champ
Yeah.
of Comedians Bible Studies. Sean is contesting to get his
That's
belt
all
back.
right. That's all right.
I'll
Let me
just
put
take
the
it
phone
and
away
walk
before
out.
y'all accuse me of.
In a 3-round quiz, multiple choice, tie goes to the runner. So if you guys end up tying, you'll hold the belt.
Yeah, you hold the belt. Don't worry. That's not going to happen. Here we go.
There we go.
I love how I really have no faith in myself.
Ooh.
Hey, when in doubt, process of elimination.
Right.
What did Paul say that stirred his audience to anger? A, Jesus. B, Messiah. C, Judas. Or D, Gentiles.
That seems like one of them tricky ones you be doing, man, because that it probably the whole sentence or the sentiment of what he said that stirred people. You talking about when he got beat up in some place and well, it's not your fault. It's the website.
I do have a breakdown of every question now.
Oh,
So
okay.
We
So you
can,
kind
we can refer to
we'll review it afterward. But you can answer first, Leah. But again, I can't win by just piggybacking off your your answers.
The thing is, I feel like I could make it into any of these depending on what the
Right.
context was.
Exactly. It seemed like I remember him getting beat up and almost killed, and then he came back to a place. What do you think he
word
said? Yeah.
did Paul say that stirred his audience to anger?
At first, I was like, it's got to be C or D, but then I was like, it could be B.
Could be, yeah, because calling Jesus the Messiah might have upset them. So, but he's
Did he
probably
call somebody
Yeah, you go first. You guess first, and then I'll.
This is already, I disagree with this test.
There you go. So wait, does that mean you? So you forfeit the answer? I'm gonna go with. Oh, I'll let you.
No,
go.
you go first.
All right. I'll go with. He said, yeah, he said be Messiah, and that upset everybody.
I'm gonna go with B feels good, but also why am I thinking D? Which doesn't even make sense. See, this is
Go with your heart. Go with your gut.
Yeah.
Or throw a curveball.
stirred his audience to anger. I'm gonna go C, Judas.
See Judas. All right.
Oh, the
That's
correct
probably
answer is D, Gentiles.
Gentiles.
Which is what I said first, and I didn't
Wow.
go
I
with
tried
it.
steering you in the right direction.
Why?
I tried flashing my lights at your 8-person fight. And you
Right.
weren't listening.
Why did it? So you tried to cheat?
Why did
man.
I just not
That's why
stick
God
with
will
my?
get you, boy.
This is when you ask me if I have faith in my comedy. I don't even have
Right.
faith in my answer. I should have stuck with Gentiles.
I would love to hear
I
the
was trying
context.
to
there.
rizz you up, as
Yeah.
the kids say.
What was the context? He said Gentiles. The word Gentiles made them
See,
mad.
We go to explanation nation.
Wait, no. Now you're showing the answers to the other
don't
ones.
look, don't look.
Did you see the other one?
I didn't see
I
nothing.
didn't either.
Okay.
Question 1, explanation. The people were angered when Paul said Jesus sent him to preach to the Gentiles, reference Acts 22:21.
Okay, but it's not the word Gentiles because he was talking to Hebrew people. Okay, all right.
I copy and paste.
Yes, sir. Sorry about that. I'm sorry I had an emotional reaction to you.
Question 2. When the Philistines brought the ark of God to Ashdod, where did they put it? A, in a hole. B, in the house of Dagon. C, in the palace. Or D, in the forest.
What you got, Leah?
I'm just running through Indiana Jones in my head to see if I can pull that scene up.
Mm-hmm. Dude, you put these on hard, bro.
This was on beginner.
You're supposed to.
I'm
These
gonna
on
give
begin-
I'm gonna give myself the first point because I had it. I just talked myself out of it. So
Oh, it's 0-0 right now. Who you going with for 2? But either way, that's a tie for. I mean, if we tie, you win. So, but
it seems rude to put it in a hole.
I believe it's at the house of Dagon.
You know what? I want to go with that too.
So specific. But if you
But that also feels like it was in
But see, if you piggyback me,
HBO
then you're gonna win regardless.
An
See?
A-
That's why you gotta go
Smart
first.
strategy. That's
She's
just,
making me answer first.
that's a rope-a-dope.
Right,
She's
yeah.
just wearing you out and hanging on.
See?
I
So if you pick House of Dagon, I should give it a
come
chance.
across as friendly, but really I have
Right, you
a long-term
competitive.
strategy.
See? She has faith in herself. She just has faith in her strategy.
The thing is that in the palace just seems like we're keeping it in our house, and then
Right.
in the forest, I don't feel like there was a lot of forests.
Right.
I'm going with you, B.
You know what? You know what? Then I'm gonna change mine to a hole. B-A.
Actually, I was just thinking I wanted to change
Dude,
mine
no,
to
see what she doing? So which one? B or A? Which one you go with?
I'm gonna go A.
I'm gonna go. I guess I gotta go B then.
Wow, what a fucking roller coaster that was. The correct answer is in a hole.
Look at this shit. Dang, so you're up 1. So really I lose when
Nothing.
we gotta
Yeah,
add
you
a
kinda
question to
already
these.
lost. And for to round things out.
Unless we tie either way, then we
I guess
lose.
maybe we gotta add
I
more
think House
questions.
of
We need one
Dagon
more
is
question.
from the HBO miniseries.
That sounds like some Game of Thrones stuff right
That's
there.
what I thought. When I was first reading it, I was like, House of Dagon. I hate that show. Question 3. Akeldama is Aramaic. Is the Aramaic name of what place? A, Field of Blood. Mount of Olives. C, Jerusalem. Or D, Desert. This was the first one that I knew.
No way. You
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I knew it.
What? Akeldama.
Akeldama.
Akeldama. All right, I'll go desert. D. Leah, I feel like she made this she's the most serious competitor I've ever had. She's dead serious.
She's locked in.
I need a shot clock on
She's
people.
really locked in.
Leah, she is
Well,
like
I would just
millionaire.
choose D just to not lose, but I'm not going to do that because
Well,
that's
either
not
way
the
you
point.
win, even if I'm gonna-
I feel like Mount of Olives I've heard, and it wasn't that, but like I feel like this is a great place to work. All of it. Dama means woman in some other language,
It means beautiful or pretty in Spanish.
right? And but it also means
Or it would mean lady.
lady.
Oh.
And then women bleed.
Right.
So we could have a field of ladies bleeding. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This is where we put women at that time of the month, which I used to
Right.
think how misogynistic, but now I think, please,
Right.
let me go somewhere and have alone time. I love an olive. I feel like I've never heard that word for Jerusalem.
Mm.
It's probably going to be desert, but I'm going to go Mount of Olives.
Mount of Olives, and Sean, you went.
I went desert.
Correct answer is a field of
Should've gone with
blood.
How did you know that?
I used to listen to this band called The Faceless. They were a death metal band, and one of the titles of their album was Akeldama.
Dang, that sounds bad.
It's a field of blood or a place of sacrifice.
Oh.
Yeah.
See, but if you had said place of sacrifice, see how they trick you?
I
That
feel
would- I would've
like
guessed-
I should have gone with my ladies bleeding.
Oh, the field where Judas Iscariot killed himself became known as a desolate. Okay. Akeldama. Akeldama. But you know what's not a desolate place? Your waist. Because you won the Bible belt, Leah Bonnema. Congratulations. I feel like there's some dirty tag. We're going to have to clean up the rules of this game.
I think we might
But
need
a
to
win is a
make.
win.
We might need to add some more questions.
I might need to read this book a lot more. I might need to learn Aramaic, apparently.
I think from now on, I'm just going with my initial gut because my initial gut was on the first one, Gentiles and Dama. I was like, ladies bleeding. I should have both times, and I
think
talked
you would've
myself
went
out of it.
3-0 had you just gone with your gut.
What?
See, and
this
that's
is
the
what
point.
I'm
The
talking
faith.
about.
You have no faith as at least as a mustard. Jesus is about to cuss you out.
Everything
If you
comes
had
full
the
circle.
faith of a mustard seed, you would have got 3. But you
Look
won
at
the
that.
belt
Full circle.
anyway.
Mustard
You
seed.
know what? This is really full circle, and I think this was a learning moment for me
Yes,
that I
yes.
really should.
Yes. But you know what? You're doing great anyway. I mean, the fact that you operate without, without a
Trusting
lot
myself?
of confidence. It's amazing that you're so successful. I mean, Leah, let everybody know what you got going on. I know not very recently, but like you were just in a film festival, right? Like you just saw a short film.
SAG approved. SAG approved.
SAG approved. Sorry. Yeah, I don't know if we can promote stuff, but yeah.
No,
let
but it
everybody know
was.
what
It
you
was
got.
independent. I made a proof of concept with my best friend in comedy, Kendra Cunningham.
Yes.
It's called The Dons, and it's about two best friends, both named Don.
Yes.
Who are a little low-level mafia.
Yes.
And I was saying earlier, I just joined TikTok, and I
Hey.
am very lonely over there.
Follow at Leah Bonnema.
Yes.
All right.
LeahBonnema. And I did write a Christmas book.
Oh,
if you're into
yeah.
like romantic Christmas comedies, or if you want to buy it and turn it into a movie and cast all comics, you want to be in a
Yes.
Christmas movie. It's called The Holiday Breakdown. It's on Amazon. And I'm the co-host of the podcast Were You Raised by Wolves?
Yes, so please check that out, guys. Make sure you follow Leah on all the socials. And thank you guys for being here. Guys, you know what? Make sure that you follow us at Comedian Bible Study on Instagram, right? And we do IG live studies with folks every week. And send us your questions because we would love to answer people's questions. They're not going to be theologically correct sometimes or maybe even good advice, but they're going to be from comics. It might be terrible advice, but you can ask us if you're interested. Guys, we thank you so much. Channing, thank you for doing what you
course.
do, baby. Appreciate you.
Time and time again, always.
Follow him at The Other Channing on Instagram. I am Sean Grant on Instagram. We'll see you guys next time at Comedian Bible Study. Peace.
Peace.
Thank you for having me.